Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PWT Talks NXT. We're talking NXT for August the 12th, 2025. We're going to see how I handle this. It is very hot here, and I watched the whole show with a fan and no shirt, and now I can do neither of those things. So if I die during the show, that's why. Also, if it looks like I'm in a really weird position, it's because I have a very naughty cat who needs a ton of attention, and she is and Admiral Soup Shoes here is is angling for my attention as I try to talk wrestling, and she's like, "Dude, you watch too much wrestling," and I'm like, "I do, but why do I understand you?" Okay, Nate, I might be delirious. Let us.
Apparently, we got talking cats and stuff, and we're only a minute and 8 seconds into the show.
Okay, let's go to something weirder than talking cats, or at least busier, louder, wilder. That main event: Obafemi and Trick Williams and Javon Evans and Moose versus Dark State. This went 13-16. Dion Lennox pins Javon Evans after a scene where a couple of baby faces accidentally hit other baby faces, and then Trick Williams has the ability to maybe break it up, but he doesn't, adding fuel to the fire that he might be with them after all. So don't know. I still don't think Trick is with him. I think that he's just being chicken crap heel here. And maybe this will end in him being a babyface. That's my official stance in writing on the recap. But if he's with them, this works too. So I actually loved this main event. I thought it was just a ton of fun. Wild, crazy stuff. Lots of good character work from Sugars, especially. But good stuff from I want to say babyface team, but Trick's on him too. You know who I mean. Just a weird assemblage of guys to be in an 8-man, and but I really thought this, despite this not being my usual kind of match, I thought it was a ton of fun. Dark State, of course, is involved with Hank and Tank. They got a tag team championship match that I imagine ends in Dark State finally holding some gold. But Trick facing some of the guys that are on his team. Just a million moving parts here. I wasn't here the last 2 weeks. Glad I caught this because lots of moving parts on the show, even though they kept it pretty manageable from a number of segments standpoint. So, Nate, on your main event.
Yeah, this went more or less kind of how I thought it was going to go with a couple caveats. Like I didn't really expect Trick to, have that moment at the end where he could have maybe put a stop to things, but he didn't. Let Dark State kind of continue his beat down or their beat down. But for the most part, like I said, this kind of went how I thought it was going to go. You got four guys in the ring, on I'm going to call them the NXT team, even though I guess they're all NXT, but the NXT babyface team, Obafemi, Trick Williams. Actually, I guess it's not even all NXT because Moose is in there too. So we'll call them the baby faces, but Moose and Javon Evans. Um, they're four guys that are all embroiled in this feud for the NXT title. And then Moose and Trick for the TNA title, but they all want a little piece of Trick. They all want a little piece of Oba. So, will they work together? Won't they work together? And that was kind of the story coming into tonight. We knew that coming in from last week. And then, is Dark State going to be able to overcome the quote best of the best that the NXT men's division has to offer, as they kept alluding to tonight on commentary. I thought this was good. I mean, like you said, it had a lot of moving parts going into this match, not just from an in-ring perspective, but from storylines and all that. One of the things that David Miller and I talked about last week was wanting to understand who Dark State is more so than what they are, and that's something that we've heard time and time again on this show. I think it might have been Sean a while ago that was on with us, and said, like, what is it like? We don't know who they are. You know, they've obviously they did that one scene with the D'Angelo family, with the D'Angelo family was kind of going over each one of their dossiers and things. But for the most part, it was just like we've got Dion Lennox and these three other guys, and I remember one of them had a name Sugars, mostly because I'm probably diabetic. I don't know. Um, Tonight I felt like there was some good character development for them. I was actually able to remember three of their names in the midst of the match, which I thought was great. Um, you know, we got Saquon Sugars, Osiris Jones, we've got Dion Lennox, and then the other guy. I can't remember his name. But still, I think that's pretty good considering that a lot of people aren't. I don't
You
think
get 2.5 because it's Osiris Griffin.
Okay, so 2.5. See what I mean? But at least I remember.
And then which one did you miss? Sorry, who did you say? You said Sugars,
Lennox, Osiris, and then the other guy,
Cutler James.
Cutler James. Yeah, so I kind of I took James or Jones.
If you got to forget one,
Cutler, whatever.
To forget.
Yeah, I guess so.
We'll see where.
So,
it goes.
You know, like I said, I want to like Dark State, but as it stands right now, I feel like it's mostly like a rehash of Retribution. It's what it feels like to me. They don't feel like they've come in and done anything that has been so impactful to the show that makes me just feel like they're the next big thing, you know, that they're you know, an NWO level stable or something like that. And that's a long shot. I don't think they're ever going to be that. But there's nothing that really makes me fear Dark State. Even, you know, even in this tonight, you know, over and over again, the babyface team was, you know, getting one over on Dark State. It really wasn't until the very end where Dark State looked super dominant. I don't know. I'm pretty mild. Matter of fact, I was talking with Jobin during this, and as Trick Williams, you know, allowed Dark State to do their beatdown, Jobin was like, and the crowd goes mild because there really wasn't much of a reaction. You know, and that's not necessarily a good thing one way or another. I'd rather see them booing the heck out of Trick and Dark State, and they were more or less just sitting on their hands. Like I don't think a lot of people are really invested in this. Not to when I say in this, I mean in Dark State, but I also don't think a lot of people are invested in a heel Trick Williams. People want to hear Trick. People want to get behind Trick, and we've talked about this 1,000 times. But I still feel like that's the case. People don't want to look at Trick, and you know he's letting Dark State, you know, run wild all over everybody. Like they want Trick to be that guy that stops Dark State. So I'm hoping that your prediction of Trick turning babyface after this angle is where they go. Because I really don't think that this heel run for Trick has done him any favors. Maybe it has, you know, long term, but at least in my perspective for him, I want to cheer him. I want to see him as a babyface, and I think that's where he's going to have the best success next.
I think I'm with you on like all that stuff you just said. I think it is helping him long term as a performer, but it's not helping him in the short term as a guy who needs to get over and stay
I think that's kind of what I meant. Like,
yeah,
it's not helping him. Yeah, helping him long term, obviously, with his acting and things like that. But yeah.
So this crowd did not really go mild so much. I think they were a little pensive when they were trying to see what's Trick gonna do. Because I know I, for one, was like, Trick's gonna do what he does tonight. It just felt like for a second they were teasing that whatever he's gonna do it tonight. But I don't know. They where was I with that? Okay, so remind me what the hell I was just talking about. My cat just took my
you were
focus.
talking about we were talking about this the Dark State.
Oh yes, certainly. I know this. Oh yeah. I was just gonna say it was a hot crowd throughout the night.
Oh yeah.
they were really, really responsive all night to these guys. So I like really hot from the beginning. They were giving NXT chants during Legend and Nia doing like really basic stuff. And I was like, that's an NXT chant? Okay. And that happened a couple of times during the night during spots that were not a big deal. So just a super rabid crowd ready for this show. But yeah, I thought they received this well, and I thought any quietude during that trick spot might have just been related to the fact that they were kind of waiting for him to do what he was going to do, but he didn't do it. Brock Benningfield said, I didn't think I was going to see Trick getting tossed outside of the ring. Yeah, not a lot of guys can make that look effortless, but when Moose and Obafemi are those guys, it's gonna look effortless. I thought it was really funny that Trick tried to walk out on that, and then he just got plancha'd onto those dudes outside. That was a great spot. And then he went in and like slapped everybody's hand like it was his idea. I thought he was everything he is asked to do, he does great. Whether he should be doing it or not, he does it all really well. And Brock says, is one of Dark State named Goofy? It's weird that this group has comic relief.
Butts.
Do
That's all I'm
they?
going to say is butts. I don't know if you didn't see the promo that they had last week, but it was that the one guy it might have been Cutler James, I don't remember, but like in the middle of his promo, he's like, "You bet your butt," and the way he said "butt" was just like, oh, come on, no,
Oh boy,
no, yeah,
no, that's too bad. Yeah, I don't know that there's comic relief. I mean, Saquon's he's a weird character, but I don't think he's trying to be goofy so much as just unsettling. I don't know. I really like Saquon Sugars. I probably have made that very clear between this and my recaps, but I sure do like the dude. Okay, let's go to my favorite thing of the night, the segment between Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. Oh man. So Josh is just getting really great crowd heat, like just absolute nuclear heat from the crowd, booing him upon him showing up, getting the shut the hell up chant, having to actually wait it out because they're so loud. And Inamura, as a result, is getting such a groundswell of support around him because of this thing with Briggs. I still think it's weird how quick this turned into this after they did the story with Inamura. But yeah, Briggs and Inamura going to have they're calling it a Philadelphia street fight next week. It's just going to be a street fight. But yeah, I think that this is going to be good. Goodfella says, was almost go away heat, turn the lights off chant. No, I don't think so. I think that this was the right kind of heat. We'll see. I'll continue to monitor, but I think that it's going to be. But I think he's getting the right kind of heat with this. I do. It's as hard to tell as ever in this day and age, but yeah, this is going to be a strong style match. Should be very exciting, and I'm psyched about it. But Briggs, I thought, cut a pretty good heel promo, and Inamura didn't have to do a lot, but he did it. And he said, how you say in English, a jackass. A simple, straightforward joke when a guy's second language is English, but then he did that. Yeah, Zach, nobody's skipping you. I don't comment on everything that's said. Sorry. I will.
And Zach, don't worry, because I was just actually looking up how to observe National Julian Fries Day. So
okay,
like I was going to come back to that once Kelly was done talking. So
go ahead. Go ahead with Julian Fries Day.
So once you've sliced your potatoes into matchsticks, let the potatoes rest in a bowl of ice water for about 10 minutes. After about 10 minutes, pat the potatoes dry with paper towels. Add them to hot grease. The ideal temperature is 350 degrees. And once the potatoes become golden brown, remove them from the oil to a clean paper towel to drain and season immediately before eating. that's how you make some Julian Fries. Apparently, I'm
Cool.
yeah.
I guess now we have to celebrate. It's a little late for me to go up and make Julian Fries,
It's
but
later for me, but that's okay.
that's true. It's an hour later over there.
I
So
don't think
yeah,
I have
did
any
you?
potatoes. Um, I don't. I don't have any potatoes in the house, so that's going to also be a problem. But um, yeah, Brock's like, I'm hungry. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, no, Yoshiki and Briggs, I like this. I really like the way the way they presented this tonight. I think Josh Briggs looks he's getting, like you said, he's getting some more heat from the crowd. One thing that I think a lot of times we forget, or at least maybe, and I say we as in the collective we, maybe not necessarily everybody that's listening to the show or Kelly and I in particular, but I think a lot of people forget that Josh Briggs was the final Evolve champion before Evolve became the WWE version of Evolve. He is a great singles competitor, and I think we're starting to see that again here. He's cutting some great promos. I think he's doing some great in-ring work. Inamura is. I think he's a great addition to this roster. Brock in the chat asking if Yoshiki is officially with NXT or not. As far as I'm aware, no, he's not officially listed on the WWE.com roster, and his Wikipedia page, as much as correct as Wikipedia pages can be, does not say he's signed with NXT. He still says he's signed for Wrestling Noah. So I'm assuming he's like a trade type of a deal, kind of like they're doing with like TNA and things. But I don't know that for a fact. I'm just going off of my own deductions here,
It
Sherlock.
does feel like an excursion. WWE hasn't done a lot in the way of letting people go on excursion to WWE because when they like them, they just want to sign them. Excursions have typically gone to, like, WCW did a lot of them. I remember Yuji Nagata being a guy who just jobbed all the time late in the 90s, and guys would do their excursions there, and some have done them in AEW and CMLL and AAA, not AAA, CMLL though. But yeah, I it feels like an excursion, but I don't know exactly what's going on with Noah, because AEW works with New Japan. New Japan works with Noah. Noah works with NXT, but NXT doesn't work with AEW. So it's all very interesting. It was, that was, it was crazy. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I think that's what's going on with Inamura. As Kelly says, it kind of feels like more of an excursion than anything. But I think he's a great addition. I like the way that they have framed Inamura as this foreign go-getter, I guess is the best way that I can describe it. Eh, he obviously wants to do things with honor, wants to fight with honor, which I guess you kind of expect from that part of the world and everything, right? But I really like the way that they've framed him. I didn't necessarily buy him as a credible challenger for Obafemi. I did to a point, but I mean, I didn't. We all knew that he wasn't going to have a chance in hell really to win. Um, but I still kind of like him either talking about wanting to get up into the title scene or kind of wanting to fight with honor in this feud against Josh Briggs. So yeah, I like the way that they're framing this, and looking forward to seeing where it goes.
so that dude, whose name I don't know, was interviewing Fatal Influence, and they were sniping at each other, which is
Is it
the
like
norm now.
Blake Howard or something like that?
Yes, I was gonna say Blake, but do they really have two Blakes that they just signed? Maybe they do. Kalani Jordan and Lola Vice versus Fallon Henley and JC Jane with Jasmine Nix on the outside. This is 12:06. Jordan and Vice double team to take down JC Jane. Jordan scores the pin, but it was Lola Vice's back fist that got this going. So they both have a real claim to maybe be in this match. Later on, JC Jane was told she will face both. Masha Slamovich and Ash by Elegance for the Impact Championship. And what do you know? They're having JC Jane act cocky about this, so they're going that way with her. But I was interested in that Fallon Henley kind of undercut JC Jane several times today, and at least this week was promoted as a bigger deal than JC Jane, even though JC Jane is the double belt holder. So they had been really having Fallon kind of fade into the background, but
No, they've been
not so this week.
the past couple of weeks they've been playing into this more so, and then to the point where last week, I forget exactly how it came about, but I think it was both JC and Fallon made fun of Jasmine Nix to go polish her titles and like go send her off like in a very demeaning way to go polish the titles. And that's actually how we wound up with this match tonight. Jasmine Nix was a little upset about that and went to Ava to get this match made. They kind of alluded to that in the interview with Fatal Influence before this match happened. I really and actually this is something Brock just brought up in the chat, that Lainey Reed is up to something, and she certainly is. We've seen her a few times now with Fatal Influence in the back, not just tonight, but also I think the last 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. It's
I didn't write down her part in the recap because I couldn't remember her name.
I remembered Lainey, but
I remembered all
couldn't
four
remember Reed.
members. I remembered all 4 members of Dark State, and Lainey Reed's got me bamboozled. Just can't commit that one to memory yet. Oh well.
Yeah, but she's definitely up to something with Fatal Influence there. Whether it's, I think she's trying to cozy up to JC Jane and get the other two kind of away from her, but that's just me. But I again, I like the way that this match is going. This match went. Lola Vice, they're putting a lot of stock into her right now, especially with AAA, Triple Mania, and everything she's doing down there. I think the sky's the limit for her. And it's funny because, when she first debuted, I didn't necessarily see it. I saw her more of her trying to lean on her MMA days and kind of just her appearance and her looks. But I think she's finally won me over the last handful of months. Her character gimmick really hasn't changed much. I think she's gotten a little bit cleaner in the ring, but I think I finally started to get it. So I finally start to see, what the company sees in her. Or at least I guess it's working for me. I always saw it, but I guess it didn't necessarily work for me. That's probably a better way to put it. And Kalani Jordan, obviously an incredible talent. We've been talking a lot about her over the last last year and a half or so. I thought she looked great here in this match. I don't have much more to say, to be honest. Fatal Influence, there's obviously that dissension in the ranks. I think we're going to see something happen probably sooner rather than later here, because how long can they really go about dangling this carrot? I feel like it's been, God, at least 2 or 3 months now that we've been talking about this kind of these little seeds being planted in Fatal Influence. For something to happen, and I feel like it's starting to build up, and that pressure's starting to boil, I guess. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I can't think of anything else I got really on this. So back to you.
Goodfella says HBK and Triple H always pin champions in non-title matches. Makes no sense to me. It lessens their reign. I hate that they keep doing it. I did like the internal fighting. HBK and Triple H both do it way less than Vince did, and maybe they're still doing it too much, but they do it so much less than Vince did. And I would say less than Bischoff. But I mean, this is just, it's tough because like this is a tried and true way to make it look like somebody can be beaten by somebody. But when you do it really rarely, man, it sticks out. Because Roman Reigns wasn't pinned by anyone for like 3 years, and then Jay pinned him in a tag team match, and that was a massive deal because nobody had pinned him. With somebody like JC, it doesn't matter. She's a heel, and she's a cowardly heel in some ways, and she's meant to be portrayed as a weak heel who's too big for her britches, and somehow got all this gold. So like for her, I mean, she's the kind of person who should be doing it, but not everybody should be doing it. And I would argue that baby faces should not lose this way very often unless it's like major shenanigans. It used to bug me a lot. Um, but I don't think either of them are overusing it, but that's just because I grew up in like, I've been watching wrestling since 1990, and man, Vince did this so much more than any booker, anyone working now or anyone working then. Okay, so opening match was Lash Legend versus Nia Jax. This went 12:51. It's a pretty long match for Nia Jax. Yeah, they just did a lot of power spots, and Nia Jax wins this, and I guess what we're supposed to take away from that is, well, Lash will be the person. My takeaway was you can't pass the torch here on NXT where nobody sees it. If this happens when Lash finally beats Nia, it should be on the main roster. So cool that Nia came down and did this storyline for Lash. But Nia's just not good. I don't know what to say other than that. There were some awkward moments in the match that had nothing to do with Lash. And I thought Lash did very, very well here with the assignment she had. But yeah, I don't know. I think Nia is in a weird no man's land where to keep certain people happy, they're not firing her, but they don't want to use her in a big way. So she's kind of caught between NXT and main roster. I don't know, Nate. Talk me off the ledge.
Yeah, I mean, like I will admit I think Nia is better in this particular run, but she's not flawless by any stretch. I'm one to talk. I mean, I literally tripped over my own foot earlier today. So, but yeah, I think I might be a little bit higher, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but maybe a little bit higher on where Nia is right now than you are. Um, eh, but I do agree that they're probably keeping her employed to keep certain people happy. Up in maybe the Dwayne Johnson level of the company, not naming names or anything. Um, uh, so yeah, I mean, her kind of resurgence and everything over the last year has kind of felt that way anyway. It is nice that she's come down here to do this with Lash Legend. David and I talked a little bit last week about there being a lot of comparisons between the two of them, especially after their little in the Battle Royal at Evolution. The kind of the moment that they've had there, which is the whole reason we wound up with this match in this feud in the first place. So I mean, I definitely like that, and I think it's a great way to begin, I guess, that passing of the torch, but I think it's going to have to wind up on the main roster. It has to, in order for them to really have that kind of passing of the torch moment. Lash is an incredible talent, and I really feel like she is somebody that the women's division can lean on the main roster in that same capacity that they want Nia Jax to be. In kind of maybe that, for the women, maybe that same type of a role that like Kane was in, or something like that, because she is a powerhouse. She is somebody that looks like she's going to be tough to overcome. So I think that's kind of where they want to position her. And for her to have that feud with Nia Jax, sure, she did not win here tonight, but I think she looked pretty damn good in her loss. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be the last of this feud. It might be the last of this feud for now, maybe, but I still think we're going to see this go on a little bit longer.
You can email us at pwtorchnxt@gmail.com. This comes from Kevin Catani. Salutations, gents. I'm in Denver visiting my brother, so I didn't get to watch, but I wanted to email to remind all who care to listen. I still believe in Joe Hendry. Thanks as always. Go VIP and listen to 8YB. Office hours are now over. The professor, Kevin P. Catani, PhD. So Joe Hendry defeated Charlie Dempsey in 358. Straightforward-ish. You know what? I don't know if this was straightforward because I knew that Joe Hendry could maybe grapple a little. I didn't know he could grapple so much, but he was really kind of he was in step with Dempsey, who is like a purely tech guy. So I thought that it was pretty impressive what he did in the first couple minutes of this thing, leading up to his choke slam, the thing that he calls that thing. I don't know, the delayed choke slam Uranagi thing. Whatever it's called.
God, what is it called?
Somebody help me.
Standing ovation.
Standing ovation. I think that's right. Yes, but anyway, yes. So Kevin still believes in Joe Hendry. I think the audience is re-believing in Joe Hendry. I don't think he lost that much in the Orton match. I think that he lost what he lost more as a result of the Trick Williams feud, putting him against an extremely popular heel. I think that was kind of a damper to his momentum. But yeah, he looked good, and he's still obviously figured in. I don't know where he's figured in. He's not like the obvious heir to any of the championships, but I still think he'll probably be the one to get it back from Trick, and it won't be somebody else. They won't transition to somebody else. They could go a lot of different ways, but I just think that it's going to eventually be Hendry. But Hendry Dempsey, I know there's not a lot of talking points here, unless you got something I wasn't considering. But go ahead.
I just have to know, did you see the greatest moment of the show last week?
I didn't see it, but I read what happened, so I don't know what the greatest moment was.
When Joe Hendry came out of the fridge.
Oh, yeah. I read that, and I was like,
okay,
that would have been worth watching.
Yes,
very stupid in a good way.
It was stupid in the best way possible. It was absolutely fantastic. No, so I mean, I was definitely looking forward to this match tonight. This was this match put together after that segment last week when Ren Sinclair started just singing Joe Hendry's theme to try and cheer Charlie Dempsey up, and then Joe came out of the fridge, and I can't believe I haven't done it yet.
He appears.
I've had it queued up, but I didn't click the button. So yeah, he comes out of the fridge and started talking with Dempsey. Tried to give Dempsey a set of clothes, and Dempsey didn't want it. Didn't want the blue shirt and khakis. Setting up this match for tonight. I agree with you. I thought this was really good. I wasn't expecting as much kind of technical wrestling out of Joe Hendry as we saw, but it pretty good. Especially like there was that one. It was like a guillotine choke into like a suplex that I thought was really, really cool. But I do agree with you too, that I think he lost his momentum after losing the TNA title. He still had that momentum after losing to Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I think that WrestleMania moment for Joe Hendry, even though it was about as long as this match tonight, and he got kind of killed by by Randy Orton. That of course he did. It's Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I mean, that's why would you expect any different? When he lost the TNA title, his stock went way down, and it was really apparent when Trick, Mike Santana, and Joe Hendry were all kind of in that same space for a little while. Joe on NXT TV anyway, for me, felt a little bit less than. His pop was a little bit less than. He was still getting some pops in TNA from the few shows that I had seen him on in TNA where he came out. But I think that perception of him as this viral sensation had definitely dwindled after losing the TNA title. I would like to see him regain it, get it back from Trick. But obviously time will tell. They've kind of already told that story a couple times, and he hasn't won it back. So we'll see. We'll see where Joe Hendry lies in the near future. But as Kevin says, I still believe in Joe Hendry too.
CJ LaChapelle in the chat asked me what I thought of Bayley's segment last night. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen Monday's stuff. I fell behind on WWE because it is G1 season, and I'm also caught up on NXT, and then I've just had life. I got an expensive car thing that is happening right freaking now. It is a whole big bag of no good. We thought it was going to be the $200 deal and everything, but it's $1,500 instead. I am very, very glad that we have seen work boosts in the last year because now we can handle something like that. But anyway, to all y'all who have $1,500 car things out there, we're all in this together.
One
Okay.
step at a time. No, I did see that. And believe it or not, it's like the one thing that I actually did see last night. Because I did not watch Raw, but I saw the Bayley segment on Reddit, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this in case CJ asks about it later. And here we are. I liked it, and it's kind of something that it's kind of what I expected for Bayley. You know, she had kind of been on this downward trajectory where. She hasn't been the main focus, and she's kind of lost certain things, and she might not seem like the biggest thing on the show. I think this is just part of her redemption story. I think there's a redemption arc coming for Bayley, and I think it's going to culminate in one of the two titles that she has not won yet, whether that be the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title. But I think those are the two things that, at least in the Chris Van Vliet interview that she gave a month or two ago, however long it was, she says those are the two things that she still hasn't done in the company and two things that she would like to go after. So I personally think that's probably where we're going to be going.
Okay, Nate, you got to help me out with some of what this storyline is about. Chelsea Green and the Secret Service, Purvis, something with Ethan Page, and is there going to be a mixed tag match? Is that what?
So I thought that's where we were going tonight. I thought we were going to have that mixed tag team match tonight. So I'm assuming that's coming. So Ethan Page, he has turned the North American title into like the Canadian version of the North American title. He's gotten rid of that pretty burgundy strap, and he has put the Canadian flag on it, which, hey, I'm all for it. Why not? But I miss my burgundy strap. I love that title. I think it's a great move from Ethan Page and whatnot. Chelsea Green came out. Well, we had the match with Santino and Ethan Page for the North American title, because, you know, Santino's also Canadian, so they were trying to play off who's the better Canadian, which then led to the following week, Chelsea Green coming out and kind of playing up the fact that she's also Canadian, but she's the best American and all of that, and siding with Ethan Page. Tavion Heights, or Tavy Off Heights, as Chelsea Green called him last week, made the call. She come out and try to challenge for the North American Championship, and that didn't quite turn out the way that he wanted. So I thought they were going to turn this into a match this week. Tavion said that he was going to go out and find a woman to wrestle with him against Ethan Page and Chelsea Green, and then we wound up getting what we got tonight. I don't really know how that wound up happening. It was, Kendall Gray and Alba Fire. So I'm assuming that this match, this mixed tag match with Ethan and Chelsea, is going to happen sooner rather than later. Potentially next week in Philadelphia. We've got two big shows back to back. We've got Philadelphia on Wednesday, and we've got Heat Wave on Sunday next week. So We'll see. I will obviously be at Heatwave. Will not be in Philadelphia, but oddly enough, I will be in Pennsylvania right before Heatwave. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's about as much as I can help you because it doesn't honestly make a whole lot of sense to me either.
I think I pieced together the rest. So I think what happened then was Chelsea and the Secret Hervis were going through these women in Evolve, trying to decide who had probably been chosen, and then sending Alba Fire against her. Walked past Callie Armstrong, who is the Evolve champion. Then they were like, nah, or whatever. And then Callie didn't say anything, which again is a crime because she's so good. But I also don't think they should expose what she does too much before she's called up. But Callie is so good. They walked by Chantel Monroe. They did not. I don't think they said Chantel's name, but that is her name. And then there was somebody else. And then finally they got to Kendall Gray, and that was who they pulled to be in this match. And I was just like, really?
So I think it's
really good in the ring, but she has no personality.
So I think the reason is what Brock said in the chat. Old story of Olympic boy meets Olympic girl. I think that's why he went with Kendall Gray.
Well, no, that's Tyra May Steele. Kendall Gray is not. Tyra May Steele is the Olympic one.
Okay, I'm all confused.
Tavion brought her out later on. So after Fire beat Gray, which was a good match, which is no surprise because Fire is a great wrestler who almost never gets to wrestle. And then Kendall Gray is a pretty nice wrestler, although she's just still kind of a blank canvas. They like her though. They had her qualify for the 4-way to be the first Evolve Women's Champion. She didn't go out first in the match because that was Wendy Chu. But she didn't win either. I think she was in the final two, and then Callie Armstrong beat her. But then Tavion Heights comes out and says he chose Tyra May Steele because she's the only one who's an Olympic medalist. And Vic says, "What a find!" And I'm like, "Yeah, she's an Olympic gold medalist, and she won LFG. He didn't of course he found her. It's like a modern baseball scout saying, I knew about him. It's like everyone knew about him. It's easy to know about people now. Anyway, there you go. That's the moving parts as I see them. Kendall Gray, I hope that they figure out who she is before they bring her back because she's really good in the ring. So hopefully they can find something for her to sink her teeth into character-wise. Right now, she's just a semi-edgy, mostly babyface. I mean, that's all I got. And yeah, so there's your very weird storyline. Ethan Page, one of the cruelest characters on the roster, but right now kind of in a comic relief storyline.
Oh, were you throwing to me? Okay.
I was.
Oh, all right, cool. I thought we'd already kind of talked about it. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to add, really. But I kind of said what I said, what I was going to say.
Okay. I didn't know if you had more to say on the match or the match in anything. Not that the match was particularly long. Okay. Jasper Troy cut a promo on Ricky Saints. I liked this. Jasper Troy continues to be like whatever to me. I think he's fine. But it's been he's fine. They got a lot of big strong brutes. And you've got to find a way to not fade into the background. And for me, Jasper Troy kind of is. I'm sort of not remembering his face when he's not on my screen. But I thought like the lines he made were good. He said Ricky Saints reminds him of the sort of guys he protected, like the quarterbacks with the perfect hair and the perfect teeth and everything like that. And he was the lineman. And this quarterback would have been nobody without him. I actually really liked that. I thought that was a really nice touch by Jasper. Anything on that before I move on?
No, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think, when I'm not actively thinking about Jasper Troy, I'm really not thinking about Jasper Troy. But I do think he has a good upside. He's been great in the ring so far, from what we've seen, and I really think he's got some conviction on the mic. So um, I'm really high on him, really high on him. I just think they need to put him in some more featured spots where it makes sense anyway. That kind of allows us to think about him a little more often.
I believe the only other segment we have not talked about was the Jordan Grace's self-doubt interview, sit down with Kelly Kincaid, where Kelly even related to her about sometimes feeling underconfident and you're like you're not good enough, and looking in the mirror and not seeing the person that you really like, and that she already has those insecurity issues without Blake Monroe, and she says she recognizes them in Blake Monroe, and she thought that they related to one another, but apparently not. And then we threw to Ava, who just piled on to Blake Monroe and called her insecure as well. So whatever. But yeah, I like, this is a storyline very much of the time, and they got 2 women's championships, and this isn't for either of them, but it remains a strong feud. So I don't know if they're gonna, did they commit this to takeover? Not takeover, you know what I mean.
I think Heat Wave, yeah.
Heat Wave.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I really like this. So, and I like this for similar reasons that I like that I like what they're doing with Miles Bourne. And I talked a little bit about this last week, but Miles Bourne, obviously he's got a disability. He's deaf, 90% deaf in both ears. So they're kind of, they turned this into a storyline that's it's a little bit of uplifting. People need some good news and things to latch onto in this world right now. But something that's motivational. And, I think that's a great way for them to frame Miles Bourne. And in turn, I think this is a good way of kind of, framing Jordan Grace. Jordan has not shied away from having, body issues and things like that. In interviews with like Chris Van Vliet, non-company related, like non-kayfabe interviews where she's actually talking about the person behind the character. So I think that's a great way of kind of acknowledging them and making it so she is a little bit more relatable, right? I know, not everybody can certainly relate with being, jacked and super powerful, but people can certainly relate with not liking what the reflection is in the mirror, So I think it's a great way to get sympathy on her and kind of also build a little bit of a more motivational female character as well. So I have no idea if that's, they're kind of they're intentionally doing the same kind of something similar they're doing with Miles Bourne. But regardless, I think, as Kelly said, it's kind of a sign of the times right now and whatnot. And I think these kind of more, I'm going to say more emotional angles are, I think there's certainly a place for them in wrestling. I don't want to see them necessarily all the time, right? But I think when done tastefully and tactfully and in the way that they're doing it with both Bourne and Grace, I think that can be pretty successful.
Goodfellas says Blake and Jordan match needs to cook. Will help them pick steam back up. Absolutely. And said also helps them keep away from JC. Yes, that's important too. They're not going to job just anyone to JC, and yes, I know they did with Jordan, but that wasn't a straightforward job. There was a storyline there, obviously. So, but yeah, even if they like JC, they got to know that they can't just feed anyone to her. It's the same reason that Hank and Tank aren't having any matches, because they don't know who they want to job to them. They've had one defense, maybe 2. and they've been champs for like 4 or 5 months. But yeah, I think that is the show, unless there was anything else. Jasper Troy and Ricky Saints next week. Briggs and Inamura in the Philadelphia Street Fight, and Fatal Influence versus the Elegance brand. That could be fun and weird to cover. That will be the stuff. So, yeah, Nate, unless you got anything else about Hank and Tank dressing up as exterminators.
Not really.
Yeah.
Don't have much to talk about with that. No.
They are who they are.
They are. I don't dislike it, but I don't have much to say about it.
Yeah, they're. I don't know. Should I take them serious or not? I think not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So that's that. I'm Kelly Wells. Find me at other Kelly Wells on Blue Sky, Nate.
I wish Ryan was here because I did this for him. I did this for him tonight.
My gosh.
Horseshoe.
You should not have. Save that for next week. All right.
I'll bring it back next week. Hopefully Ryan's here.
There is a wonderful. Oh my gosh, I can't even give this away. There's a collage that you can see on our video feed. Ryan,
YouTube.com/PWTorch.
Until next week. And it is glorious. It's beautiful. Oh, that bottom left. That is the shot. Okay. We will check you in 7, folks. Cheers.